Uh, Keeper of the Lost Cities, Book 4, Neverseen, Chapter 2. It's okay, a fragile voice promised, as the figure threw back her shimmering hood. A blonde ringlets cascaded around the beautiful, familiar face of a weary-looking Counselor Orley. Her pink jeweled circlet was no I'm gonna say deeply upset, and she told them, "I came here on my own." Alden lowered his hand, which was holding a melter, a small silver gadget that caused instant, painful paralysis. How long before the others arrive? Not long. Bronte and Henrik are still arguing, but they will gain nothing. There is too much fear and fury clouding the others' reason. Orly trailed her graceful fingers across her arms, shivering in the moonlight. She was an empath, like Keith and his father, and Sophie had never seen her look so pained. "What will their punishments be?" Alden asked. Orly lowered her eyes. Dex and Keith will be suspended until midterm and placed under constant chaperone. Fitz and Fiona will be suspended for a week and given a month of sanctuary service. Wait a minute, Dex interrupted. How come they get off easier? Their family holds a tremendous dose of legacy in our world, Orly reminded him. The Vackers were practically elven royalty. They had more relatives in the nobility than any other family. Meanwhile, Dex's father had never manifested a special ability, and talent was that all that mattered in the lost cities, not wealth or skin or color or age. Not wealth or skin color or age. The elves considered it a fair way of separating people, but Sophie wasn't sure there was any fair way of separating people. Those without abilities couldn't join the nobility, and if they married anyone except another talentless, it was ruled a bad match. Dex's mother had married Dex's father anyway, but the scorn haunted Dex's whole life. So that's how it is, Keith asked. Now what we know is we know the truth about my mom. My family's garbage. Not garbage, Orly corrected, but your father has been removed as an emissary. The counselors do not trust that an empath could be completely blind to his wife's betrayal. Keith blinked several times. Bart a loud, cold laugh. Well, I guess I can't say my mom ever did anything for me. I almost wish I could be there to see you when the news breaks. Till the Sandra meant everything to Keith. Though Sandra meant everything to Keith. Often had an expense of kindness and love towards his son. So Sophie can understand Keith's rejoicing, but she was surprised to feel a sliver of empathy for. But she was surprised to feel a sliver of empathy for Lord Cassius. When one night he lost his wife and his beloved title, and the next morning he discovered his only son had run away. What about me? Sophie asked. What did they decide for my punishment? That is still the subject of much debate, Orly said quietly, but most likely they will banish you to Exilium. Sophie couldn't decide which part of that sentence was more terrifying. She knew nothing about the mysterious school called Exilium, but she'd been told many times that she did not want to go there. And to be banished? She was running away, but banished sounded so permanent. Exilium, Exilium is the registered natural tortoise, Orly whispered. A part of our world far too dangerous for you to visit, especially now. Why especially now? Alden asked. The ogres are stirring, at least that is what I fear, which is why I came to give you this. Orly snapped her fingers, and a small glass sphere appeared in her palm. Sophie hadn't realized Orly was a conjurer. Your cash? Alden said, taking a step back. Actually, this is Kenrick's, Orly corrected. Um, he gave it to me before he... She didn't say the final word, but it cut deep all the same. Counselor Kenrick had been one of the first counselors Sophie had met, and he'd quickly become one of her favorites. He'd been warm and kind. He'd been warm and kind and quick to smile, and had always taken her side. But she'd been murdered a few weeks ago. During Fenton's mysterious healing. Fenton was pyrokinetic. He'd trained Brand from the Neverseen. He suffered a memory break for his treason, but had managed to protect his secrets. When Sophie discovered that she could heal minds, the council ordered her to heal Fenton, and during the healing, Fenton had found the strength to spark an inferno of Everblaze. Sophie had managed to grab Fitz and Orlean leap and teleport to safety, but Kenrick had been lost to the flames. Sophie's only consolation was that Fenton died in his own blaze. Orly took Sophie's hand, placing the cash carefully into her palm. 7 glittering stones were set inside, each a different color. Kenrick's made me promise to give this to you if anything happened to him, she whispered, to make sure you'd be protected. Does that mean he suspects his life is in danger? Alden asked. We both did, though I should have done more to help. Tears slipped down Orly's cheeks. I should have done so many things. Counselors weren't allowed to marry or have children in order to remain impartial to their studies. But Sophie had been a consult between Kenrick and Orly, and suspected a connection between Kenrick and Orly, and suspected that they'd been in love. Then they would have resigned from the They could have resigned from the council and chosen to be together, but for some reason they kept their lives separate. He believed in you, Aurelie said, tracing a soft finger down Sophie's cheek. He told me you were the spark of change our world needed. So keep his gift close. And if the counselors catch you, use the cash to buy your freedom, but do not let them send you to Exilium. Then you must also take this. She handed Sophie a small silver square that worked like a videophone. I cannot be traced or tracked, and it cannot be traced or tracked, and I'm the only one you'll be able to contact with it. This way, We have means of connecting with each other. What if the counselors discover your involvement? Alden asked. They will surely see this as treason. Sometimes rebellion is the only course of wisdom. As all of you well know, Orly returned back to Sophie, and her mouth curved with a word, but by the time it slipped from her lips, it had changed to, I must go. She raised her pathfinder to the moonlight and glittered away before Sophie could blink. Now that's what I call mysterious, he said. Foster, you should be taking notes. And who else wants to play with this cash thingy and see what it does? You are not. You will do nothing of the sort, Alden told him. And you must not let anyone know you have it. I wouldn't even tell the Black Swan, who our world could crumble if that cash falls into the wrong hands. Really? Sophie asked. It looks it looked like one of those cheap marbles she used to play with as a kid. The object itself is not the danger. It's what the cash contains. What do you think the big threat, the biggest threat in our world is? Alden asked. The ogre? Sophie guessed. Actually, it's knowledge, Alden corrected. Information holds an unimaginable power, and some things are too dangerous to be known even by the counselors, so they lock the most disturbing secrets away before having them erased from their minds. They call them they they call they're called the forbidden secrets. They are stored in what you hold there. Each counselor vows to guard their cash with their lives. Orly has taken an enormous risk by giving this to you. She's also given you our world's most valuable bargaining chip. Sophie rolled the glittering marble around in her palm, tempted to give such a huge responsibility back, but she owned it to protect his gift. Plus, Orly's vague warning had made it sound like she was going to need it. Come on, she told her friends, shoving the cash into her deepest pocket. We should get to the Black Swan. She reached for Fritz's hands, and Keith took her. She took Fritz's hand, and Keith took her other hand. Fiona tugged tightly to her brother, leaving Dex to choose between Keith and Fiona. I won't bite, Keith told Dex. Ow, but there's no need to get squeezy. None of them looked back as they sprinted into the trees. They wove around fallen branches and galled roots, making so many turns Sophie feared that they were lost, until her ears picked up the telltale whoosh of the waves. For the forest partner, a few steps further, revealing a sleek ocean bluff. I'm going to open my mind to yours. You can finally show me where we're going, she told Fitz. I don't have anything to show you, Fitz said. I just know we're supposed to start on the path of privilege. Sophie dropped Fitz's hand. I had no idea what that is. And what do you mean by start? Well, it's the first instruction, Fitz said. Instruction? Sophie asked. Or a riddle? I guess it could be a riddle, Fitz mumbled. I guess it could be a riddle, Fitz mumbled. I didn't think they'd do that this time. Dude, have you met the Black Swan? Keith asked. I know, Fitz said, but I figured for something this important, they'd be clear. Sophie backed away so she wouldn't be tempted to shove Fitz off the cliff. Okay, deep breath. Okay, deep breath. What exactly did the riddle say? She handed her scrap. Fitz handed her a scrap of paper where he'd written a complete message. Take the path of privilege, eyes that watch eternal and blood-burned privileges. Seek the tower that would not yield for the next steps of your journey. Get anything from that, Foster? Keith asked, reading over her shoulder. Of course not, Sophie grumbled. Why didn't you tell us about this earlier? We could have done some research. Fitz tore his hand through his hair. I'm sorry, I guess I messed up. And you didn't see anything else? Keith asked. You searched Foster's mind for a while. Only a few minutes, Fitz argued. Keith grabbed Fitz's wrist and pressed his fingers against the exposed skin. I hate to break it to you, but I can tell you're hiding something. Empaths, Fitz grumbled. Just keeping you honest. So spell. What did you see in mysterious Miss F's mind? Fitz turned to Sophie, and even in dim light she could see the red flush in her cheeks. I might have seen some other stuff, but it wasn't really thoughts. It was more like feelings. Oh, oh? He asked, as Sophie's stomach filled with bubbling lava. What, what does that mean you? We're wasting time, Sophie interrupted. The council could be here any second, and we still have no idea where we're supposed to be going. Okay, Keith said, following her as she stalked to the edge of the cliff. So, we still need to go to Florence, right? The Black Swan told you that. When Fitz nodded, Keith asked Sophie, doesn't your photographic memory have a few pictures of the city tucked away? She'd seen pictures of Florence, but that doesn't tell us where we go after that. We'll figure it out. And once we do that, we'll smack Fitz a few times and tell the Black Swan to knock it off with the lame, non-rhyming riddles. In the meantime, Keith grabbed Sophie's hand. We're doing this thing. They'd barely locked hands before Keith pulled them off the cliff's edge.